So now let's talk about installing Python 3 onto an Ubuntu machine. So Ubuntu is a version of Linux, and frankly it works great as an environment for coding with Python. You can install VS Code directly onto your Ubuntu machine. You can install the extensions, and everything works great. When I did Silicon Dojo in the in-person environment, we actually used Ubuntu as our lab machines, and I never had any issue at all using Ubuntu. It is a great option. Now, in previous versions of the Ubuntu desktop version, it did not necessarily come with Python 3, and so you would have to install Python 3. Now, with the latest version of Ubuntu, it comes with Python 3 installed. So the first thing that I would say is if you're going to use an Ubuntu machine, unless there's a reason why you shouldn't wipe and reload it, the first thing I'd tell you to do is wipe the machine, reload the operating system, update everything, sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade to make sure it's up to the latest version, and go from there so you don't run into any quirks. Then past that, we're going to have to make sure that Python is installed. So you go to the terminal as you normally do, and then basically from here what you do is you can type out the command as we would in other operating systems, Python 3 space hyphen hyphen version, right? So Python 3, as we've done before, space hyphen hyphen version, and when we hit enter, we can see here we have Python 3.12.3, and so that is good enough for us. Then we're going to want to see about the pip version. So this is the package installer. We're not going to deal with that for a while, but since we're here, we should make sure that it's installed. If we do pip 3 space hyphen hyphen version, we can see that the pip3 command was not found. We might want to check to see if pip space hyphen hyphen version is installed. Again, that might be another name for it. That's not installed, so we can look here and we can see it says sudo apt install python 3 hyphen pip, right? So we can clear the screen. We can do sudo apt install python 3 hyphen pip. And so this is what we're going to be using. We're going to be using this particular piece of software in the future for adding modules to our Python environment. Again, we'll talk about that later. But basically, you just hit enter, you give it its password. Oops. Give it the password, you say yes. It's going to go through, so it's going to download pip from the Ubuntu repositories. We're going to install it on our machine. Once we're finished, we'll get the blinking cursor down here again. So now we can do pip3 hyphen hyphen version. And now we're going to see we have pip 24. So now we have pip installed, we have Python 3 installed, and we have pip installed. That's what you need to do for the Ubuntu operating system. Now, if you are using an older Ubuntu version for whatever reason, and you do need to install Python 3, it's simply sudo apt install python 3. That will go to the repository, that will bring down Python 3, and then it will be installed on your machine. You do that along with the pip install, and you'll be good to go. Now, in this particular section of telling you folks how to install Python onto your machines, I have to give a warning for each one of these classes. Whether it's Ubuntu or Mac or Windows, you're actually installing the interpreter. Again, the interpreter is a piece of software that reads the code that you've written and basically turns that into the program. So as a piece of software, things can get quirky, as they say. Things can get quirky. There may be weird permissions or security settings you have on your machine. If you have an old server, so let's say you have a legacy server that's been doing something for 10 years, who the hell knows when an intern did that machine 8 years ago, right? There could be all kinds of quirkiness. So the big thing that I tell you, especially if you're new to the computer world and if you're new to Python and you want to use Ubuntu, I would really highly recommend wipe the hard drive of the machine that you're dealing with, put a brand new version of Ubuntu onto it, on it, the latest version. Make sure everything is updated and go from there so you're not dealing with any kind of weird legacy quirks, because that is a real thing that you might run into in the real world. And then beyond that, as you go through and you try to do things, there might be some issues and you might have to do some troubleshooting. That's kind of just the world of technology. But basically, 99.99999% of the time, these instructions should be good and you'll be able to write Python code in no time.